Hello and welcome to Analysis with me, Oyin Adekunle. The Public Complaints Commission, PCC, is the agency of government which is saddled with the responsibility of helping Nigerians fight for their rights. The agency, which is directly under the National Assembly, is well known for their ability to mediate on issues, resolve crises, and ensure that rights of Nigerians are not trampled on. The PCC surprisingly shut the headquarters of the Commission and the 36 state offices across the country on Wednesday. They are protesting an infringement or alleged infringement on their own rights. Now, what is the situation? Well, with the nation's ombudsman now turned to the complainant. Joining me now from Abuja to talk more on this is Margaret Ibeko, who is the chairperson of the Parliamentary Staff Association of Nigeria. Thank you very much for joining us on the program.
Thank you.
Now, you are responsible for taking complaints from Nigerians and channeling them to the direct or the appropriate authorities. What is it that you are now complaining about?
Well, we are complaining over the non-implementation of the national minimum wage, which took effect from April 2019. This is the 17th month, and it has not been implemented here in the Public Complaints Commission. We have not received the arrears, neither have we been paid on the new minimum wage. More so, we are also complaining of non-payment of arrears, like promotion arrears. You'll be surprised to know that as far back as 2015, we have pending arrears, and most importantly, the poor funding of the commission. Those are the three issues that are the top burner issues in this particular protest.
No, but this protest now has entered its second day. How long are you prepared to take this protest or to carry on and shut down the PCC offices across the country?
We are prepared to remain on the streets until the federal government answers us. We have not just shut down 36 state offices. PCC is an office that has offices down to the local governments and area councils. We're everywhere. So we have shut down operations down to the local government. It's not just about the rights of the workers. That's one thing we must understand. It's beyond minimum wage. We want to be equipped to be able to fulfill our mandate. We cannot be called a commission that fights for the rights of Nigerians, and when they bring these rights, we are not equipped to fight for these rights. We want the government to look into the ombudsman. So until the government answers us and does right by PCC, we'll remain on the streets. We are ready to remain on the streets, even if it's for 1 year, until the government answers us. We are not committed to the struggle.
Now, this non-implementation, you said, has been on for 17 months. Why did you wait this long? Within that period, what was the commission up to? Were you speaking to the government, or what was being done from your own end?
Okay, actually, the minimum wage took effect from April, but the federal government paid federal workers in December and paid a backlog of arrears from April. So by December, most public servants received 8 months arrears, and then from January, they started running on the new salary, the new minimum wage. Unfortunately, by that December, like every other government worker, we were expecting to get our backlog and be placed on the new minimum wage, but it didn't happen. So by January, we started writing letters, and you'll be surprised to know that up till today, we have not gotten any tangible response. The union wrote, interfaced with the management of the commission, and they opened their books. And after opening their books, it was obvious that this money was not domiciled in the commission for the commission to be able to pay. And we started writing to the Minister of Finance. We gave a 21 days ultimatum, a 14 days ultimatum, 7 days ultimatum, and we did not receive even one reply. That was what made us take to the streets. Because if we were briefed, and it's a different thing to be briefed and know why you've not been paid, and a different thing to be ignored. So that is why we're on the street. We want answers.
And as you just said, you have offices down to the local government level across the country. Now, that shows how important, the important role that the PCC, the Public Complaints Commission, plays for the average Nigerian. And would you think that this might just be a disservice to the Nigerian people going on strike at this time?
Is a disservice to the entire Nigeria that the Ombudsman is not properly funded. The Ombudsman was the first anti-graft, anti-corruption agency set up in 1975. But as of today, it is the agency that is poorly funded. Let me give you a picture of what happens. The PCC is currently receiving a budget of 4.7 billion every year, and the cost of personnel based on the old minimum wage, is 3.9 billion. Now we have a commission that is running if you take that out, you have about 800 million to run 36 state offices, including the area councils and the local government. If you do that mathematics, you discover it's not possible. It's just not possible. The agency is not functioning at its very best. It's a different thing to want to win the shop and pretend that everything is okay. And at this point, we've been pretending that all is okay. The staff have made all manner of sacrifices to see that the average Nigerian gets justice. But at this point, we think enough is enough. It's better the government comes, we sit on the table and decide how the Ombudsman, if you fund the Ombudsman, all the different agencies that are being signed into law. We just learned that a new anti-graft agency was signed into law. You don't have to keep duplicating these agencies, duplicating and spending government resources. If you read the act setting up the Ombudsman, you know that the Ombudsman, if it's well funded and is functioning, you don't need the multiple agencies that spring up everything.
But then I believe please go ahead.
If corruption is mostly stems from injustice, from administrative injustice, administrative errors, if we are able to get it right, understand that the Ombudsman, the Public Complaints Commission, has the ability to initiate investigations down to the presidency. There is no facet of government that we are not able to, the private sector, the public sector. And so we are in a position to forestall things that will lead to corruption. But in a situation where not properly funded, it's like you're taking the watchdog of the society and you're crippling it. You can't cripple the watchdog. The Ombudsman is the watchdog of the society. It watches the presidency, the executive, the judiciary, the parliamentary. Then why are we crippling it? So it's a service to Nigeria. It's actually a service that, for once the people have stood up and decided that we can't keep going on like this. Like I said, it's beyond the implementation of minimum wage. There are a lot of things that are involved. It's way beyond that. It's good that we are here today. We want to talk. What is the future of the Ombudsman in Nigeria? That's exactly why we're here.
Quite frankly, I understand you. But then what I believe many people would be saying is you understand that the government, for want of a better word now, is burdened at this time. We understand the coronavirus pandemic, doctors are going on strike, health unions and all of that. And as a critical agency of government, one would probably expect that you understand all of the financial constraints at this time. And then would you at least be willing to bear with the government at this time?
Well, we will be willing to bear with the government. We've always borne with the government. But you know that for any society to move forward, there must be the foundation of equity, fairness, and justice. That is the foundation. And if this foundation be destroyed, the Bible says if the foundation be destroyed, what will the people do? So if we destroy the foundation of equity, fairness, justice, then there is no meaningful development. We are willing to manage with the government. But how can you come to somebody that is a victim of injustice and demand for that person to fight for justice? Every Nigerian civil servant is receiving the minimum wage, every federal civil servant. And then you tell people that have not received just for 17 months, from where do they get the moral will to fight for others? It just doesn't work that way. It doesn't really work that way.
And of course, you mentioned earlier that beyond the implementation of the minimum wage, you're also talking about underfunding of the commission. How exactly is this affecting you, and how so, basically? How is the commission being underfunded?
I just tried to analyze the budget for you. We are currently running on a 4.7 billion budget, and you'll be surprised to know that based on the new minimum wage, the cost of personnel is going to be 4.2 billion, which means if government implements the minimum wage, we are going to ask them annually, it's going to cost government 4.2 billion to pay wages, because we are, being that we are all over the nation, our staff strength is as much. So what happens is that from next, what we are now facing is a situation where governments, the same governments that know that the cost of personnel is going to be 4.2 billion, came up with a document, the medium-term expenditure documents, begging public complaints budget at 4.2 billion. That is to show you how grossly underfunded we are. How do you peg the cost of personnel for an organization to be the annual budget of the organization? These are the kind of things we've faced in the past. We have 36 offices. I will tell you that an office, a state office with local government offices, runs on the budget of 400,000 every month. How feasible is that? And this is a commission that is it has a high level of intensity of movement. You don't investigate matters sitting in your office. Every day you'll be surprised to know that we have almost 500 ombudsmen on the street investigating cases. We don't have vehicles. We don't have stationery. We are not even equipped. Our security is not even assured. So the issue of underfunding, the records are there. When you look at the budget, look at the capacity of the office, look at the mandate of the office, you don't need a prophet to tell you that this office is grossly underfunded. Our books are open. We have tried all that we can to make sure that the agency is fully funded, but we've not. Instead, each year they keep cutting the budget, and now they have cut the budget to the cost of personnel. And the people say we can no more move on. It's just not feasible anymore.
I mean, I'll have you hold your thoughts here, but we'll go on a break now. When we come back, I'll be taking you on your statement that the Commission is not equipped. Let's go on a short break now. When we return, we'll continue this conversation with Margaret Ibeku, the chairperson of the Parliamentary Staff Association of Nigeria, PCC chapter.
On Digi 360, we don't just ask the questions. What is wrong with amending the Constitution the way the National Assembly members have been doing it? We seek answers.
Constitution is constituent.
Our problem is not lack of laws. Our problem is lack of the willpower to implement our laws.
Answers that provide clarity.
While we negotiate, we should try to make it a point that the girls must be complete.
The clarity you need to make informed judgment so that you can make the right decision and take action. People are saying it is you politicians that are responsible for this, that you are the reason why this is happening.
All these dollars that call themselves governors in this country.
I wish we had people like Tony at the National Assembly.
God forbid that I go to join that
Digi 360, providing clarity to issues.
You're welcome back. If you're just joining, we're still talking about the protests embarked upon by members of the Public Complaints Commission, which has led to the closing down of offices in the 36 states across the country. And I still have with me Mrs. Margaret Ibeku, the chairperson of the Parliamentary Staff Association of Nigeria, PCC chapter. Thank you very much for staying with us, Mrs. Ibeku.
You're welcome.
Now, before we went on that break, you talked about the Commission not being well equipped. Now, who exactly is responsible for these issues that you have highlighted? The Presidency or the National Assembly?
Well, our problem is hydra-headed. It's better we know the foundations of the Public Complaints Commission. Public Complaints Commission, according to the Act, was founded as an agency under the National Assembly, equipped with handling petitions and all that. But at a point, it was taken to the Presidency, and in 2012, it was returned to the National Assembly. Now, we have this issue of the budget. When we want a better budget, we don't know whether it is the National Assembly or the Presidency that will hold responsible for the better budget. So the issue is we are holding both the National Assembly and the Presidency culpable over this matter. We are holding them culpable over this matter. It's both stemming from the National Assembly and from the Presidency. And we're calling on them. It's not an agency to be shifted back and forth and toyed with. It's an agency, it's a very critical agency in the nation. And we're saying whosoever is going to be held responsible for this funding should do right by it. We have a situation, the National Assembly increases the budget and then it's still reduced by the National Assembly, and the Presidency refuses to fund the budget fully, even after it has been called into law. We have years that the budget, they refuse to fund the budget. And our monies are not delivered to us, even though we are first line charge. First line charge means that before the expenditure goes on, these are agencies that have to receive their budget first, their budget allocation first. And you'll be surprised to know that even as a first line agency, we have had our budgets not fully implemented. And the office is just not able to run and execute. You have to visit some of our state offices to see what they look like. We have state offices that look like relics from how many centuries ago. So this problem of funding is something that the whole nation, the executive and the parliamentary, they really have to sit down and look into.
I mean,
we're tired of the same story.
I mean, earlier you spoke about writing letters, trying to reach out to the Minister of Finance. But in terms of this push for budgetary increment now, has there been any form of dialogue so far, or maybe recently?
Yes, there have been forms of dialogue. The management, the union has been on this matter. We have not relented. And we have made sure that the management has followed up on it. Down to the presidency, letters have been written, visits have been made, even to the office of the vice president. And we've been assured, each year they will assure us you'll get a better budget, and each year at the end of the budget year we'll receive a less budget. And it's becoming really funny. Even as a union, we have made efforts. We have visited the National Assembly, all the key officers of the National Assembly, and laid our books open and said, this thing is not working. And at the end of the day, we receive no results. Nothing is done. We receive empty promises. So we've made efforts. Efforts have been made. Last year, by this time, by December last year, we were also on air. We had a press conference. We brought down the budget and broke it down. And we didn't get any response. We visited all places we should visit: budget, finance, everywhere, office of the vice president, senate president, the office of the speaker, and nothing is being done.
And since you started this protest, I believe yesterday, you've still not heard anything from the authorities.
Funny enough, we have not heard anything. And we are waiting. We'll be on the streets until we hear something. I mean, this is the voice of the common man we are talking about. It's the voice of the common man. It's the place that you walk into without a dime. So it's our own way of defending the country and defending democracy. We can't be here and watch the voice of the common man taken away from him. Posterity will hold us responsible for it.
But then
so here, as Nigerians that are committed, we are saying no.
I said, but then when the government eventually reaches out to you, would you be willing to at least cut a truce? What would you be willing to say, this is the middle ground we'll reach to be able to go back to work? Because I believe now that your members are still protesting. They're there on the streets, as you said. So what agreements would you be willing to reach to at least put this to a stop?
Well, the first agreement we'll be willing to reach is the payment of 17 months arrears and implementation of the new minimum wage. And then on the issue of funding, the government has to tell us the plans they have for the ombudsman. We're very open to negotiation. We're very, very open. We're waiting for that call for negotiation. We're very open. We're not Nigerians that are unaware of what is happening. We are very much aware. But we are just saying we will not, because of this. My sister, there are funds being released every day. No matter how Nigeria is feeling bad or feeling down or financially restrained, funds are being released every day. We are saying release the voice where it will affect the masses. That's what we are saying.
But perhaps this is lastly now before I let you go. Would you think that you've not gotten the kind of response that you want from the government? Probably because the government and maybe Nigerians do not really feel the impact of your agency. Just maybe.
I can't say Nigerians don't feel the impact of my agency. I am an investigation officer and I know the volume of cases I handle. I know the volume of cases that come into the commission annually in tens of thousands. And we resolve these cases. The books are there. The statistics are there. So it would be very, very unfair to say that Nigerians don't feel the impact of the ombudsman. The impact is there. Maybe the rich Nigerians who can afford lawyers don't feel our impact. But the average Nigerian, the regular Nigerian on the streets, always comes to Public Complaints Commission when they have an issue. So they will listen to us. Whatever happens, we will be on the street. By the time the average man that we protect his rights joins in the struggle, they will listen to us. So we are very patient. We're very patient over this matter.
We do hope that you're able to resolve this on time. Thank you very much, Mrs. Margaret Ibeku, for speaking to us on Analysis. Thank you so much for your time.
You're very much welcome, and thank you for having me.
On that note, we've come to the end of this episode. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.